So what you're telling me is 90% of traders don't even make money?
I have retired in Hong Kong at the age of 39, and 10 years before or 9 years earlier, I was flat broke. So in this video, Pranav and I, we are going to talk about how to reach financial independence and how did I manage to retire at the age of 39 after being flat broke in one of the most expensive cities in the world, right? Which is Hong Kong. So I'm not retiring in Thailand or in the Philippines or like some third world country. This is the most expensive place in the world. I live in the city center of the most expensive city in the world, right? And how did I do it? Was it a get rich quick scheme, or is it some other investment strategies? In this video, we are going to share everything with you.
So Henrique, I mean, a lot of people, when they talk about retirement, what they think is usually, at least what I would picture is playing golf, hanging out with my buddies, and just enjoying the good old life once I'm 60. Why and how is this different for you, and how have you been able to, like, it honestly baffles me. This is the most expensive city in the world. Me being 25, I'm here because I want to learn a bit from you. I want to understand about your psychology of investing. I've been reading into your Medium, your Skool as well, and there's a lot of interesting insights there. Having recently joined the community as well, it's been very interesting to be a part of it, and seeing a lot of different people grow as well. So I'm very curious to know how's this journey? Like, how do you go from being flat broke 9 or 10 years ago to being pretty much retired in the most expensive city in the world at 39? Like, how I can't fathom it. How did you do it?
Yeah, it's actually very simple, but let me break it down. So 10 years ago, I've been always an entrepreneur. I'm originally from Portugal. I was born and raised in Lisbon. And I started my own business when I was 25. It was a consulting company where I used to help entrepreneurs to build their business plan, market study, feasibility study, and so on. But that business, after I grew the business from 1 person to 20 people, ended up failing. And after that, I had another failed business. And also one of the problems that I had before was that I was not aggressively saving money, right? I was trying to keep up with the Jonases. I was trying to, keep up with my friends who had a certain lifestyle, trying to buy nice clothes, trying to buy a watch and all that stuff, trying to show off. And that was eroding my financial independence. And then when I had a business or 2 businesses that failed consecutively, I was flat broke after that, right? So really, one of the most important things when it comes to retire early and reaching your financial independence is, 1, you need to focus on increasing your income. You need to generate more money. How do you generate more money? Well, there are many different ways. But first of all, invest in yourself. Invest in your knowledge. Whatever is your area of expertise, your job, you can always step up your level of knowledge by taking more courses, by investing in knowledge, by reading more books, by taking online courses. If you're a developer, you can always be a better developer. If you are a person that makes glass stuff, you can always learn how to be the best expert in the glass, whatever is your industry. And after do that, you'll get a better paying job. You can get a promotion. You can moved to a new company. There are studies that show that when you change to a new job, on average, people get a 10% increase in their salary. So one of the things that really helped me to move to Hong Kong, or really helped me to retire, was I moved to Hong Kong. I was in Portugal paying very high taxes, moved to a low tax country, right? And also get better paid job in Hong Kong. And after I moved to Hong Kong, I got 3 different jobs, and every time I move to a new job, I got a better salary, right? And if you increase your income, you have also more capacity to save money.
Yeah.
So, traditional financial advisors tell you to save how much? Like
10%.
10%.
That's the general advice. Yeah.
Exactly. But if you save 10%, you can only retire at the age of 65, right? And you'll not be very wealthy at the age of 65.
Yeah, especially in a city like Hong Kong.
Exactly. Yeah. So for you to retire early, you need to save much more than 10%. You need to adopt a frugal lifestyle and save perhaps 50%. Maybe you need to go for a few years, move to a smaller apartment, move to the suburbs, don't buy a car, don't buy stupid stuff. If you have one pair of sneakers, you don't need another pair of sneakers. There are many ways you can save money. Just keep a frugal lifestyle, because when you have two or three pairs of sneakers and you buy another pair of sneakers that costs like $100, you are stealing from your future self. Okay. Because those $100, if we invest, you can easily double that money in 5 years. So do you want to spend those $100 now, or do you want to have $200 5 years from now, right?
You know what, Henry? That brings me to one question I have. So I am Gen Z, and what I've seen in my generation is that a lot of people are falling for consumerism, and I'm guilty of this too. A lot of people are buying things that they don't even need, and they're wasting so much money on that. And especially in an economy like this, where salaries are really low, especially for entry level positions. If you're not like, an engineer or a doctor or something like that, the starting salary is barely enough to survive. But then in Gen Z, you see a lot of these people flaunting wealth on Instagram, social media, out about with their friends. Almost every single kid my age has an iPhone 17 Pro Max. That does not make sense to me, because I don't know. I think people are falling for this little trap of consumerism. And what really my question is about is I want to know a bit more about compounding and how compound investing really makes a big difference, because I feel like I'm at that age group where if I start now, I'll really see some big benefits in the next 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, you just touched the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and I think that's a very interesting thing, because, if you, instead of buying since the iPhone came out, was that almost 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, the first iPhone.
The first iPhone.
Yeah, 2007.
If since then, I made this calculation earlier. If since the first iPhone, if instead buying all the iPhone models, some people buy all models, right? If instead buying all models, you invest the same money in Apple stock, you'll have now over $500,000 in Apple stock. Okay, and there's two things. It's delayed gratification. Instead of buying the fucking iPhone, you invested money, and it's the power of compounding. Many years, instead of spending that money, you invest in a company that is growing over the years, and that money is going to compound like a snowball, because you invest $1,000 now. 2, 3, 4 years later, there's $1,000. It's $2,000. Then it goes to 4. Then it goes to 8. And it's really the power of compounding. Albert Einstein said the seventh wonder of the world is the power of compounding interest, right? Because that's how people get really rich.
Right.
So you need to adopt delay gratification. And the only thing that I know when I see someone with the latest iPhone or with a Ferrari or whatever, the only thing I know about them is that they have $1,000 less in their bank account. Or if they have the Ferrari, they have like $200,000 less in their bank account. That's the only information that you have about them. Or maybe they are in debt, actually.
Good.
Right? So,
because that's a big thing now, right? Especially with the growth in fintech as well in the last 10 to 15 years. There's so many financial products out there now. And you know what? In a country like, for example, India, I was reading this the other day, 40% of debt is owned by Gen Z. That is nuts. That is nuts. Where is Gen Z getting this money from? They're splitting payments. They are buying things on loans.
The buy now, pay later thing.
Buy now, pay later, and they're falling into the trap of interest. And
Credit
honestly,
cards.
I've been guilty of this too. 100,
Me too.
10%.
Me too. Yeah,
I think everyone has to kind of go through this. I mean, when it comes to finance, I really don't know much about what I'm talking about. And honestly, that is one of the big reasons as to why I joined your community. Because I wanted to learn from an expert. I wanted to learn from someone who understands the value of, compound investing, the importance of time value of money as well. Because wouldn't you say that time is the most important thing to grow your money?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Time is the most important thing. And again, you need to have the switch your mind from instant gratification to delayed gratification. Because if you want to have the iPhone now, you can have. But do you want that iPhone more than you want to retire 10 years from now? If you have this long-term mindset, if you have low time preference, I don't need to have things now. I can enjoy those good things in 10 years from now. you can also enjoy life now. You can enjoy life in a frugal manner, right? And the power of time is really amazing because the numbers say, and there are tons of studies about this that show that when it comes to investing, the longer the time frame of your investments, the more money you will make over time, the better your returns. Day traders, 99% of them lose money. And 95% of the short-term traders, people that try to flip stocks every week or so, 95% of them lose money. On the other hand, 90% of people that invests for periods of over 5 years, this data you can check, they make money. So it's very simple. If instead of buying a stock like Palantir stock and try to flip it for a 10% profit, if you bought Palantir in January 2023 and you hold it until now you have a 2,500% profit. Okay,
That is insane. 2,500%.
you have multiplied your money by 20 something times.
That's
Okay,
insane.
so that's the power of compounding and time in the market. Like Warren Buffett said, time in the market beats timing the market. No one can time the market accurately. People think that, I can buy low and sell high. No, you cannot.
Yeah, nobody knows if it's going to go
Nobody
up
knows.
and down or in circles.
Yeah. Even Wall Street fund managers, did you know that 87% of the Wall Street fund managers underperform the S&P 500? So these are guys that have billions of dollars managing.
Wow.
They have all the Ivy League degrees.
Wow.
They have all the infrastructure. They have the Bloomberg terminals. They have everything to outperform the market. And they cannot outperform a simple index like the S&P 500, which is just a basket of 500 companies, and anyone can invest in the S&P 500 in a passive manner.
Right.
So don't try to time the market. Buy the index, can be S&P 500, can be NASDAQ 100, can be also some leverage ETFs. I love buying some leverage ETFs, and I love it so much that I even created a course about leverage ETFs, which is part of the community.
Oh, okay.
You haven't watched, you need to watch that course.
That is definitely
Yeah.
going to be next on my list.
And you can also add stocks, underpriced stocks to your portfolio. So you can look at fundamentals. What you need to look at is you need to find stocks whose revenue is going up, income is going up, and the price is not going up at the same pace.
Right.
So again, Palantir, like in 2022, 2023, if you look at the income statement, you see a company is getting more clients, revenue is going up, income is going up, price of the stock is going down.
Right.
Because market just hates Palantir at that moment.
Right.
So that's a good moment to buy the Palantir stock. And that's what I did. I was buying dollar cost averaging, meaning every month buy a little bit more and more and more. And now it's doing very handsomely.
Right.
But these things take time, right? Don't rush. I know that people want to get rich next year. It doesn't happen. I don't know a single person. You cannot name, Pranav, I'm sure you cannot name a single person in the world who got rich just by day trading, right? But you can name many good investors that got rich by buying and holding for a long period, right?
Wow. So what you're telling me is 90% of traders don't even make money, especially the ones on Wall Street. I mean, that is just surprising because those are the institutions that typically I, as someone who's a noob in this matter, would typically go to and trust. But I mean, after talking to you, it feels like
It's even more shocking. In the crypto space, this data is on-chain data, so anyone can verify. 99.9% of the wallets in the crypto space lose money. 99.9%.
Wow.
Okay. So if you want to invest in crypto, again, just buy and hold, buy some Bitcoin, buy some ETH. I'm not a huge believer in altcoins at the moment. You just see how altcoin, the fundamentals are totally disconnected from the price lasts 1 or 2 years. So you cannot evaluate properly altcoins. And this is coming from a guy, me, who wrote the very first ever digital asset framework evaluation book. I wrote a book on how to evaluate cryptocurrencies. And now I'm telling you that it's almost impossible to evaluate them.
oh wow.
But anyway, that most of the people lose money. And if you just invest in the index or buy stocks and hold them for a long period, I share everything in our community, right? On how to do it, which stocks to buy. You just make money in the long term.
So you're saying essentially
Keep it simple.
in the part of your community, I can find all these things there. I can learn all these things there. I can also see what kind of stocks are, say, ones to watch potentially in 2026. I mean, based on from what I've talked to you, it's not about going after those big names like Nvidia. It's more about going about those supporting companies that kind of work with Nvidia, like, you know, people that Nvidia is buying stuff from, or selling chips to, for example. Are you saying that that's a better investment, and to kind of park your money there in a long-term basis, do not let the emotion get involved in it, and hold on to it for a long time? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay, by the way, the community is not only about like sharing the stocks, it's more like about investor education. And what I want is to give people the tools that they need to be successful, skilled investors, not lucky investors. If you copy me and the stock perform well, that's just luck. But if you learn like how to analyze a stock and you invest yourself and you make money, that's skill, right? Skill that you can replicate, even without me, even without any expert.
Correct.
But what you're saying is about, you're talking a little bit about like second level thinking, right? Okay, there is a stock that can potentially perform very well. Now, like look at Nvidia, for example.
Right.
Nvidia is super expensive.
Yeah.
It might continue going up. No one knows. But what I know is that there are lots of investors piling up into Nvidia.
Yes.
Because it's a very well-known name. Every investor wants to have a little bit of Nvidia, right? Because it's
a little bit of the piece of the pie.
And I love Nvidia. I still have Nvidia as part of my portfolio.
Yeah.
But you need to think like 2 or 3 levels deep. If Nvidia is potentially overpriced, what other AI plays can you invest in order to profit even more? Like, what are the other service providers or manufacturers or infrastructure providers that feed the AI revolution?
Right.
So Nvidia, everyone knows about Nvidia, and everyone knows about Amazon, the data centers, everyone knows about Google. But what about, for example, construction companies that are building the data centers? So I invested a couple of years ago in MCOR, which is a construction company specialized in building data centers. I also invested, for example, in Carrier Global. Carrier Global is an air conditioning and ventilation and cooling company. So it's like, what does it have to do with data centers? Data centers need cooling.
Require cooling. Right.
Carrier Global, they have not only the traditional aircon units that you can have at your home, but they also have specific aircon for data centers.
Data centers,
and
rapid cooling, things like that.
And the stock price is underpriced, in my opinion, at the moment. So that's one of my AI plays. It's an HVAC aircon company, right?
So you're
totally
basically
unrelated, but actually very related.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's kind of where Oracle was about a year ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That is very insightful, and okay, I should look into that. I will look into that stock and see.
Not financial advice, but I think what you need to do, the due diligence that you need to do, is basically look at stocks that are potentially underpriced, and also when the market panics. Lots of people talking that we might have a crash in 2026. I don't know if we're going to have a crash or not. If we have a crash in this year, next year, whenever we have a crash, it's an amazing opportunity to go hunt for those underpriced stocks. 2022 market downturn was an amazing opportunity to buy underpriced stocks. I was really buying. Like I bought a ton of Palantir, for example. I bought a ton of Solana. I bought a ton of Bitcoin. In the meantime, I sold all the crypto. But when you see everyone panicking, no one cares, everyone selling, that's usually a good time to start buying.
Okay, so guys, if there's anything I took from this conversation right here is buy the dip.
Yep.
So Henrique, I mean, we've gone over so many different types of investments and financial products. I mean, you've got your ETFs, you've got cryptocurrency, you've got the good old stock market as well. Now, as someone who's just starting to invest, all right? How do you suggest that I split my investments? Like, how much should I be putting into crypto? How much should I put into ETFs? Which ETFs? What kind of crypto? Should I be looking at Bitcoin? Should I be looking at, I mean, I know you said altcoins aren't really the thing right now. It's kind of a murky ground with valuations and the fundamentals with what they offer. So yeah, it gets a bit confusing for someone who hasn't necessarily been exposed to this part of investing. And Yeah.
It can get very messy, right? Because like you have all these experts and crypto experts telling you to buy crypto, but if you look at their track record, is really horrible. So the number one thing for you to be a successful, not only investor but anything in life, be a skeptic. You can continue listening to these experts on the internet, including to me, but be skeptic and think by yourself, right? And especially when it comes to crypto, because like there are so many scams out there, and everyone is promising going to the moon and all that stuff, and the risks are so huge. Like investing in altcoins or meme coins is not a long-term consistent investment strategy. Some people get lucky, and the ones that get lucky will share that they got lucky, and this is a survivorship bias because only people who made a 10x, a 100x, got rich will share on social media, and then the 99% of the other people will be like, oh my god, let me try my luck, and then end up losing. So maybe you can have a small percentage into crypto. Pranav, I've been working full-time in crypto for the last 9 years. But at the moment, I have a very small percentage of my portfolio in crypto. I think for someone who is starting now investing, I'll start with index ETFs. Index ETFs is the number one thing. Okay, so I'll start with investing in S&P 500 index ETFs. You have VOO or SPY, or even CSPX. And the thing about these ETFs is that you have 100 years or more than 100 years of historical data of the S&P 500.
Right.
S&P 500 is the 500 biggest companies in the US. And the biggest companies in the US are the biggest companies in the world. These are companies like Apple and Nvidia, and they are selling worldwide. So these are very global companies.
Right.
Some people are like, oh, US, you are not diversifying by investing in other countries. You don't need, because American companies are already global companies. Okay.
Yeah.
So first, pick a few index ETFs. S&P 500, Nasdaq ETFs can be the QQQ, for example, and that will be the first thing where I'll start. Okay. Even Warren Buffett said that for normal investors, starting point, invest in index ETFs. If you want to add a little bit of spice, you can also add some leverage ETFs. Okay.
Right.
This is one of my specialties, and one of the big components of my portfolio is adding a little bit of leverage to my ETFs. I have 2 to 3x leverage. You have ETFs like SSO and QLD, which is 2x S&P 500 and 2x Nasdaq. You also have 3x leverage ETFs. But the thing here is that you can maximize your risk-adjusted returns by adding a little bit of leverage, okay? I'm not talking about 10x or 100x leverage. I'm talking about adding maybe 2x leverage to a small part of your portfolio, and this will give you optimized returns over time, okay? But anyway, I created the course. This is a topic that I could talk about for like hours, and that's why I have a course for it. And then other than ETFs, I will start adding stocks to your portfolio.
Okay.
You don't need to add a ton of them, but you can, for example, add one new stock every month or every 2 weeks. Okay, you analyze the stocks. Some of them I share it in our Henrik Wealth Academy, right?
Right.
But you don't need to copy. You just need to find stocks of companies who might benefit from, the current trends, from AI, or stocks that are underpriced. Not only AI stocks, another stock that I've been adding to my portfolio is Kraft Heinz, like the ketchup company, right? And they have many other products, of course. But I believe this is a stock that at the moment is kind of underpriced, and also it's a stock that is resistant to market cycles, because people always need to eat. People will always buy ketchup, right?
Right.
And it's a stock that if there is a crash, stock market crash, right, and stocks go down, this stock will be more stable and less volatile, because if there is a stock market crash, people will not stop eating ketchup, right?
Right.
And so it's not all about buying tech companies, but yeah, I will start adding one new stock to your portfolio every month.
Okay.
And you should have at least 10 stocks in your portfolio. 10 to 20 stocks is probably the sweet spot.
Right.
Okay. And if these stocks go up by a lot, 200, 500%, maybe you can start taking profit. Or if the fundamentals change, if the reason why it led you to take to buy those stocks. If it changes, maybe you can sell the stock. For
Right.
example, you buy Tesla because you love Elon Musk and you think that Elon Musk is crazy enough to make big things for Tesla. If Elon Musk, something happens, he leaves the company, maybe I'll sell the Tesla
Fair
stock,
enough.
right?
Yeah, because you're kind of buying into the belief of Elon Musk,
Yeah.
and that's what brings you into it.
Exactly. And then crypto, maybe I'll leave at the current market situation, I'll leave a small percentage. But if you want to add, I don't know, 5% into your portfolio, buying some Bitcoin, some ETH, can also be part of your portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll not go all in on the crypto. Yeah.
So definitely keep a balance. The crypto should be minimal. Starting off, you should go off with ETFs and then start going into slowly building up your stock
Yeah.
portfolio over time.
And have a vision, a long-term vision, right? Because if you have, Warren Buffett said, if you don't plan to hold a stock for 10 years, don't even hold it for 10 minutes. He also says, the best holding period for a stock is forever.
Right.
And he's not exactly right, because forever is a long time, right? Things can change. Again, Elon Musk leaves Tesla, maybe better to sell, but just have this long-term perspective, right?
Right. So walk in with a long-term perspective. If you're going into a stock to sell it within the short term, there's no point. It only makes sense to go in it if it's a long-term thing. Right. Yeah, makes sense. Wow, this has been a very interesting conversation. I think my biggest takeaway from this is when I start my investing, which is going to be very soon, I will look into ETFs and leveraged ETFs. So the first thing I'm doing when I get home tonight is hopping back onto your Skool and watching a couple more videos.
Yeah.
Guys, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel, the Henrique Wealth Academy. Henrique is an awesome mindset, lifestyle, and financial wealth coach. I think that there's a lot of things you can learn from him. There's also a Skool community to check out and some courses on Udemy. So yeah, please like this video, subscribe, and I guess we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
See
me
you in the
over.
next one. Of course.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.